What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about why Tesla surpassed Toyota Motors as the most valuable car company on the planet, guys. So this is going to be a really interesting video. I've been reading a lot of your comments, and a lot of you don't really understand why Tesla stock has been soaring so much and why it's trading for so much higher than Toyota Motors, even though Toyota Motors outsells Tesla by a ton. So hopefully this video will be very informative for you. So before I get into this video, guys, please smash the like button because it really helps out. So let's kind of recap what went on this week and kind of explain what's going on. Okay, so on July 1st, there was an article published on BBC. It says Tesla overtakes Toyota to become the world's most valuable car maker. Here's a picture of Elon Musk in front of some of the Tesla makes. So as you can see here, let's just get right into it. It says shares in electric car maker touched $1,134 on Wednesday morning to fall back, giving an overall market cap of $209 billion. That is $4 billion more than Toyota's current market cap, even though Toyota sold around 30 times more cars last year and its revenues were 10 times higher. So according to the article, it says shares in Tesla have surged since the start of 2020 as investors have begun to feel more confident about the future of electric vehicles. So obviously, a lot of people are wondering, how is this possible? Toyota, they sell over 10 million vehicles. Their revenue is around 280 billion, and Tesla has just a tenth of that in terms of revenue, just 24 billion last year, and they deliver far less vehicles. So guys, I'm going to explain to you exactly what's really going on here and give you a kind of a realistic comparison on why Tesla is worth so much more. But first, I want to just quickly finish this last point. As you can see here, it says investors are excited by U.S. firms' potential, believing they could dominate the future electric car market. And Mr. Musk said Tesla will deliver at least 500,000 vehicles in 2020. So let's just get right into it. What is exactly going on here? So for us to understand exactly what's going on here, we're going to have to do a lot of research on the EV market in general. Okay, so here's an article posted by Automotive News. It talks about what the electric vehicle market has in terms of the future. So as you can see right now, currently they estimate that electric vehicles are only 8% of total global sales. That means 92% of cars are either hybrid or ICE, internal combustion engine, which means that a very small percentage of the total sales right now are electric vehicles. And they expect that amount to increase to be around a third of all sales by 2025. So that means around 33% of the total vehicle sales will be electric vehicles. And then they expect electric vehicle sales to surpass ICE cars in 2030. So around 51% of the sales in 10 years from now. So 10 years from now. So that is quite a long time frame. And that's exactly what we need to look at when we're taking a look at why these stocks are trading at such different valuations. So if we take a look at the graph here, we can see, as you can see, as we move closer to 2030, more and more percentage of the vehicles are becoming electric vehicles. So this is a really important thing to visualize, because as the moment right now, Tesla is 100% electric vehicle car maker. That means every single car that they produce is electric. They don't produce hybrids, they don't produce ICE. Whereas Toyota is way behind the curve when it comes to electric vehicle production. So let's take a look at another article. Okay, so we're at another article. This one's posted by Inside EVs. It says Toyota to sell 500,000 electric vehicles in 2025, only 10,000 in 2020. So Toyota is really behind the wall and are really slow to adopt to the new changing trends. As you can see here, they're planning to sell 500,000 electric cars by 2025, whereas Tesla plans to sell 500,000 cars in 2020. So even though that Toyota sells so many more vehicles, the percentage of them that are electric, which is exactly what a lot of governments around the world are expecting most of the vehicles on the road to be by 2030, by 2035, 2040, most governments are going to require all the vehicles sold are going to be electric vehicles. So it is just a small fraction of kind of the total electrified cars. They sell mostly hybrid vehicles, and even these vehicles are not going to comply with a lot of government regulations, because hybrid vehicles are basically, I think, especially for passenger cars, I can see the demand for heavier cars like diesel cars and diesel trucks especially because you're transporting goods. But for passenger cars, since the majority of the cars on the road are passenger cars, it really doesn't make sense for any hybrid cars to be produced. We need to move to 100% electric vehicles to reduce the emissions. So as you can see here, the Toyota's EV takeoff is really slow. So they only have 10,000 units planned by 2020 and 30,000 for 2021. So even though Toyota outsells Tesla by so much, they are so slow to adapt to the new challenges. So here is the kind of the question that I think a lot of people need to realize. Why is Toyota so slow to adapt to these new trends? So let's kind of take a look at both of these car companies. Let's take a look at their lineups and see what they're actually selling. Okay, so to kind of figure out why Toyota is so slow to adapt to this kind of revolution of electric vehicles, which is the future of transportation. Mark my words, guys, by 2030, you are going to see a ton of electric vehicles all over the place. So why is Toyota so slow to adapt? Well, it's simply lack of focus. So I'm on the Toyota.com website right here. I'm going to blow this up a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So as you can see here, we're basically taking a look at the cars that Toyota sells. So here I'm at their hybrids. They don't really sell too many electric vehicles right now. So most of their focus is hybrids. But for me, the problem with Toyota is that they're just so focused on volume instead of quality. So as you can see here, let's take a look at this. We click this little drop down called select vehicles. Toyota sells a billion different types of cars. How can they possibly focus and deliver what consumers really want, especially the millennials, which is electric cars? So they've got a 2020 Yaris, a Corolla, a Avalon, a Prius, a Camry, a Mirai, a 8.6, a Supra, a Sienna. As we keep going, they've got trucks, Tundras, crossover, a ton of different SUV crossovers. Then they have their hybrid vehicles, which are electrified but not 100% electric. So they're kind of a mix. And then they have even more vehicles planned. So this is the problem with Toyota. This is why Toyota stock has been struggling. And as you can take a look at the year-to-date chart here, the stock really hasn't done much at all. It's just basically, it's up a bit and here and there, but it's not really making any big moves. Whereas Tesla stock is making huge moves up. And the reason is this lack of focus. How can you sell so many different products well? It's just too many products. I mean, I don't even want to count all of these vehicles because I don't want the video to go on too long. But just quickly, I'm guessing they're selling at least 30 to 40 different cars. And a problem with a lot of these cars they're selling, especially these ICE vehicles. Okay, so the problem with Toyota is that the majority of these vehicles that they're selling now, especially these ICE cars, they're so focused on short-term profits instead of a long-term value. So most of these cars, especially like Europe, Asia, Latin America, the United States, when they start passing legislation where all new car sales have to be electric, what are going to happen to these cars? They're going to end up in the scrapyard. So this is basically, Toyota is basically like in the same position that I think Nokia and Apple was almost 10 years ago. So what am I talking about with that? Well, let's check out that story, what happened, how Apple overtook Nokia as the most valuable phone maker in the world. Okay, so I think you can learn a lot from the past, and I think what's happened this year in 2020 is similar to what happened in 2011. So as you can see here is an article posted on 9 to 5 Mag. This was a very old article, but it says it's official, Apple beats Nokia to become the world's leading smartphone maker. So this was about 2011 when simply Apple overtook Nokia as the most valuable smartphone company in the world. And the reason this happened, the reason why Apple overtook Nokia, because I don't know for some of you guys out there, maybe you guys out there are much younger millennials, but for everyone that's probably, I would say, 25 or up, you definitely remember Nokia. You know, Nokia was a really, really big company back in the I would say in the 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Basically, everyone had a Nokia phone, and the Nokia phone was really cool. But the problem with Nokia is that they didn't innovate. They got comfortable at being the largest smart cell phone seller in the world, and that was that. And then along came Apple, and what Apple did is they took the the cell phone and they revolutionized it. And now, as you can see here, we can take a look at how the difference between Nokia and Apple today. So, okay, so if we kind of take a look at Nokia, we can see Nokia stock is currently trade has a market cap of around $24 billion. It's on the OT. And Apple has a market cap of $1.5 trillion. So this is what can take place when a company simply gets comfortable in their leadership position in the marketplace and they don't innovate. So kind of let's get back to now, let's talk about Tesla. Okay, so now we just went through all of those kind of many different cars that Toyota sells. So now let's take a look at some of the cars Tesla sells. Well, the thing that stands out the most about Tesla is that they don't sell a million different products. They're not on volume, they're on value. And with value comes high quality. So as you can see here on the website, there are literally only 4 cars available for sale. 4. You've got the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y. And of course, they're working on a Cybertruck and things like that, but right now they only sell 4 vehicles compared to Toyota selling 40. Is it easier to sell 4 vehicles really, really well, or is it easier to sell 40? It's common sense, right? So this is one of the reasons why Tesla is valued more, is the company is just focused. And no one is really talking about the solar energy unit of Tesla as well. They're very smart and they understand the consumer. They understand that basically millennials now are very, very interested in clean energy. So not only do they want electric cars, but they want solar panels on their homes to lower their energy bills. So now I want to talk a little bit about that aspect and how Tesla is not just a car company. They are a diversified clean energy company. So let's take a look here. Okay, so here on the Tesla, I'm looking at the Q1 2020 report. They talk about their energy business. As you can see here, it says, we've also seen an increase in cross-selling of the energy business. More than 40% of our residential solar couples opt for at least one Powerwall. In Q1, we installed our 100,000 Powerwall. And they also sell solar roofs as well. So as you can see here, it says the Gigafactory in New York reached a significant milestone. A single week solar roof production exceeded 4 megawatts, enough for 1,000 homes. We continue to onboard new installs in order to synchronize our ability to produce and install solar roofs. So solar roofing is a major, major growth industry, not just in the United States, but across the world. And I've read some crazy reports on how installing a solar roof can like reduce your energy bills to like 70 to 80%. So this is just revolutionary. Now, obviously, it might not work for every climate, and it might not work for really, really cold climates. But in places like California and Florida, where Texas, Arizona, where sunlight is abundant. Okay, guys. So now wrapping things up, I just want to talk a little bit about where these stocks are headed in the future. And as you can see here, I made a comparison between Apple and Nokia when it comes to Tesla and Toyota, because I think these companies are going to have the same trajectory. I think Toyota's lack of focus is going to hurt their share price a ton in the future. Customers are going to be very, very upset when they spend all this money on these ICE vehicles and they're going to end up in a scrapyard. Whereas when you buy a Tesla, you can keep this car for the next 10, 20, 30, even 40 years, guys. 100% of Tesla's cars are electric, meaning that you don't have to trade it in, you don't have to scrapyard it, and these cars hold resale value better than any other vehicle. So it's like having an iPhone, guys. So that's what my opinion is on this. I think that Tesla is like Apple, and I think Toyota is like Nokia. And I'm really worried about Toyota. I think they're going to struggle a lot throughout this decade by focusing on these ICE and hybrid vehicles. I think they're short-term thinking, and I don't think they're creating a lot of long-term value for their shareholders. So that's one of the reasons why I think people are so much more attracted to Tesla stock. Tesla makes a product that can be used for many decades to come, and Tesla cars actually get smarter over time as they update the software more and more. And you know that you can buy a Tesla and you can resell it for basically a similar value that you paid for it a few years from now, whereas most of these Toyota cars that are being sold now are going to end up in the scrap yard in the future, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's time to close this out right now. What are your thoughts? I really think this is an interesting discussion, but I'm really, really passionate about Tesla stock because I think they're doing a lot of good, not just for customers and shareholders, but the environment, guys. We can't destroy the planet. This is the only place we have to live. So any company that is 100% clean energy using solar power and avoiding emissions and things like that, things that pollute our environment, I'm 100% behind them, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, guys, take care.